Kash Patel, who, according to reporting from our colleague Von Hilliard, is currently under consideration to be the director of the CIA or the FBI in Donald Trump's second term. It's an interesting development, as we just learned moments ago, that the current director of the FBI, Christopher Wray, also appointed by Donald Trump, as well as people on the Trump team, are planning for the possibility that Trump will replace his first pick to be FBI director during his first term, Christopher Wray.
If Rogers is out, then Kash Patel seems to be the one who's in the driver's seat for this position. Let's talk confirmation, because people keep saying, should Kash get it? Should Kash get it? Should Kash get it? All right. Well, we learned with the Gates pick that you need at least 50 votes, and then JD is the tiebreaker. Can Kash Patel get 50 votes in this United States Senate?
There's no question. Kash Patel is extraordinarily qualified to serve as the FBI director. Kash Patel was a counter intel attorney in the National Security Division. He was a top aide on the House Intel Committee for Devin Nunes. He worked in the Trump administration in several key posts, including the chief of staff to the Secretary of Defense. He worked for the director of National Intelligence. He worked on the National Security Council. It was Kash Patel who helped figure out the Russian collusion hoax, Crossfire Hurricane. And that's why the establishment is terrified of Kash Patel, because they know he is a very competent and skilled operator. They know he knows where all the dead bodies are buried, and they know that Kash Patel on day one would be a very effective director of the FBI. And I'll tell you, I was the chief counsel for nominations on the Senate Judiciary Committee. We handled all the confirmations of all the judges and Justice Department officials, including the FBI director. And the incoming chairman, Chuck Grassley, my former boss, has a lot of fans of Kash Patel on his senior staff. I have no doubt that Kash Patel would get confirmed by the Senate, and he would make an outstanding FBI director. So I am in the only Kash camp.
Only Kash. I love that. How are we, by the way, I had a tweet the other day about this. How are we going to make the deep state pay cash only? Huh? You like that? You like that? You see what I'm doing there? See what I'm doing there, Davis? All right. It's lost on some. Shakespearean wit over here. Shakespearean wit. But so when it comes to a candidate like that, I mean, you look at Kash as well as his. I actually had a conversation with him the other day, and I was looking at his bio, and I said, I didn't realize that he was a public defender for a decade. So he spent a full decade, by the way, way more actual courtroom experience than Kamala Harris. That Kash Patel is far more experienced as an attorney than Kamala Harris ever has been. This guy spent 10 years defending people against these types of wrongful indictments, wrongful punishment, all of these various things. And so that's the kind of guy you really need, who started his career for uncovering government wrongdoing. Davis.
That's exactly right. Kash is a friend of mine. He's a very good man, and he's been on all sides. He's been a prosecutor, a national security prosecutor. He's been a public defender. He's worked on the Hill in a very senior post on the House Intel Committee. He's worked in the White House National Security Council, for the Secretary of Defense, for the Director of National Intelligence. Kash Patel checks every box, and he will do a very good job of rooting out the corruption at the FBI. And what they're terrified of is they made up the Russian collusion hoax. They know it. They made up Crossfire Hurricane to protect Hillary Clinton after her home server got hacked with our nation's most classified secrets, and the Clinton Foundation pay-for-play foreign bribery schemes when she was the Secretary of State. Tens of millions of dollars go to the Clinton Foundation. What favors did she do for those foreign entities, those foreign countries, our worst enemies, when she was the Secretary of State? And that's what has the Andrew Weissmans and all these lawfare actors terrified, is Kash Patel is actually skilled and competent and fearless enough to go right this wrong called Crossfire Hurricane.
Well, I couldn't agree more when it comes to that. By the way, I believe that since Crossfire Hurricane is something that also touches the CIA. That's something that Ratcliffe, we know, who's been, by the way, Ratcliffe was fantastic when it came to declassification when he was in office in the first term. And that's also something that that's one of the reasons that I'm not going to want, they are not going to want Tulsi Gabbard over controlling the secrets at DNI, the anointed seat of James Clapper either. What do you think?
Yeah, I love it. This is like the national security dream team. And when they start saying Tulsi Gabbard is a Russian asset or whatever the hell they're saying, they said the same thing about Trump when he came in with the Russian collusion hoax. That means that Tulsi Gabbard's going to be over their target, right? And think about this, Jack. That has to be pretty terrifying for all these guys where they politicized and weaponized our intel agencies and law enforcement to take out the leading presidential candidate. When they failed, they tried to take out the president of the United States. And then when he was out of office and he declassified Crossfire Hurricane, they tried to bankrupt him, throw him in prison for the rest of his life for non-crimes. They underfunded his Secret Service protection and almost got him killed. And guess what? President Trump dodged all the legal, political, and actual bullets. He's back in the White House, and he's going to put an all-star team to fix this corruption. So these scandals, the biggest scandal in our nation's history, Crossfire Hurricane, can never happen again. Accountability is coming. Justice is coming. Nobody's above the law. And that's why these lawfare actors are terrified.
No, because they know that they've been up to skullduggery. They know that they have been up to all of the chicanery for so absolutely long that, it's they're going to be bending themselves in ways to appear almost, boneless. And they're going to be telling people over and over that they didn't do anything wrong when we know what happened. We've already seen the results of these things. And what's worse for them is that we're not going to stop at just what. And remember, so all of the Rogers Kash Patel stuff is actually going back to the original HPSI and the original Nunes memo, because who was the chairman of the House Intel Committee prior to Nunes was Mike Rogers. And he stepped down in 2015. Pompeo was going to get it, but then he went over to CIA at the time and kind of got his brain terraformed over there. And then it was Nunes who came in as control of HPSI, and who became his chief investigator was, of course, Kash Patel. So this is really what it all goes back to. There's no controversy about Kash. This guy has a sterling resume. He's not one of these party boys. He's not someone who's been like gallivanting around and traveling the world or any of this. It's nonsense.